I'm going to show you directly the hard selling. Okay, this is designed by Charlotte Jacobs. Thrive Academy. She was in, she graduated from Oriental Medicine School as an acupuncturist. So she got out of school, she started putting posts up on bulletin boards, didn't get any business. So she experienced that post-academic lull that happens, and then she eventually hired a business mentor. He gave her some exercises to do to get clients. And then she had some realizations, and what she did is she created a new formula that actually infuses the 5 elements of Chinese medicine into the relationship as we're building it. So it makes a very, very holistic relationship. I enjoy using this process very much. It's just become second nature to me because it's based on just energy flow. So in heart selling, you guys all write that down if you need to? Heart selling, Charlotte Jacobs Thrive Academy. In at the ABQ Leap site, we have pages where all of the worksheets are up and you can download them, and each exercise has some associated things with it. This particular page, the very first one, if you go to the ABQ Leap website, I believe it's there. If not, email me back if you can't find it. But there's a place where you can download all the worksheets. There's some videos that help with the that kind of walk you through your panel. And then there's also on this one, there's a link to sign up for, if you sign up for Client Attraction Summit, you get a free copy of Art of Enrolling Clients, which is her book, and explains this process thoroughly. But I'm going to go over it right now briefly with you, and then we can do a couple of exercises to put this into practice. So in heart selling, what we're doing is when we want to make a connection with someone, we want to build a relationship with someone. If we build the relationship upon these elements, it tends to come out very whole and complete and fulfilling. And so the first element here that okay, the first element, is this right? Fire, the fire element, and that's to connect, is what it represents.
Can you use the black pen?
Use the black pen, this one's too, not quite. All right, so use the black pen. Okay, so fire is the first element that you want to introduce or build a relationship on. And that's to connect. Okay. And so there's a mudra, a hand mudra associated with each of these, right? So this one is connect. Can everybody do the hand mudra? And this is connect, right? So this way we have a way to remember, like say if you're at a networking meeting, right? And you can conceptualize, connect, all right? So and when you shake hands with someone, you're connecting with them. Charlotte teaches to shake hands with both hands when you shake, because you're actually activating you're utilizing the energy meridians, and you're causing the energy to flow full circle. So I had the good fortune of meeting the King of Zambia the other day and having a presentation for him. And when Patrick invited me to come up and meet the King, have a photo with the King, or I guess it wasn't even have a photo with the King, just meet him, and the ambassador from the Zambian ambassador, with both hands, I was able to shake his hands, connect with him on his concerns, and then that staged our relationship for a more intimate meeting, and me to be able to, again, about his concerns, and be able to take him and his delegation over to where our technology is at and show him our technology install regarding some future working together, because they're building a school in Zambia and they need some pros to help them do it right. So I was able to make a connection with the king, and I was able to go and take that relationship a little deeper as well, because I already know this. I already know this very formula, and so by knowing this formula and practicing it for a year, things went very, very smoothly when I had the opportunity to meet some high-level business people, entrepreneurs. Now, the first part of this, right? I'm going to read here. So, do research and be prepared for your consultation. So, it's good to know a little bit about your people beforehand. Sharing stories to relate to the client's situation. Explain how you solve the problem they're facing. Okay. That may be even a little bit advanced. I tend to move into my enrollment consultations without so much even mentioning me or my agenda or what I do. There's a little bit of a relative connection that I will introduce, like, and I can help you all with the replacement for the elevator pitch, because the elevator pitch has a tendency of causing people to glaze over and then they go, okay. But there's another kind of way that when somebody asks you what you do, that you can introduce the circumstance before you say, I'm on one of these. Say, when you got this situation and you try to deal with it like this and it doesn't really work. Well, I've found that when you actually do this, then you get results. And that's what I do. I help people get results, right? So there's a structure that I also learned from Charla and Jesse for that first level on the connection, but it really is about finding elements that we have in common, right? Because it's tricky to do business with people that we don't want to do business with, that we don't have things in common with. So if we find elements, we know who we want to do business with ahead of time. Mark's a good example. He wants to do business with Dion's, right? Yeah. He's been from Dan from Dion's. He's been meditating on this for over a year, and because he's very specific about that, and he's done some homework about his potential client, things are falling into place where it looks like there's a probability that this is going to occur, yes, because he's making a genuine effort to get connected with his potential client. Okay. So the next element that we want to focus on is Earth, or that we want to introduce into the relationship, and this is to serve. Okay, and Earth, the hand mudra for Earth is to serve. To serve. Right? That I am at your service. And so this is where you begin the, say, shallow inquiries about what do you do, what do I do, and the implication of being supportive of that and being at your service. Right. So when you're at networking meetings, it's almost kind of presumed that everybody's there in service, unless you're Jeffrey, like me, for just cheese and crackers. But if they're at the networking meeting and they're doing the business card shuffle, you already kind of get the idea that everybody there is in some kind of service or service industry. So you'll be able to take that a little deeper and start talking about the shallow end of the business, what you do, how you do it. It's a little bit of this, that, and the other thing. Okay. So here, you can ask questions like, what project are you most excited about, and what are you looking for next? And how can I support you in that? Now, this next question is very, very, very powerful, and I do not use this question in Earth. Okay, this is one of the most important questions that I find that I've ever discovered that I could ask anyone, and I actually use this a little later, and I'll talk to you about that later. I'll show you why. Okay, and what would most serve you right now? So inquiring a little bit about where they're at with their business. And they can find out a little bit where you're at with your business, but usually when you're doing an enrollment consultation, I myself try to keep it very client-centric, not so much me. I don't even want them to hear about me unless they ask or unless there's the right foundation has been laid. So I always try to revolve my initial meeting with someone or initial consultation around them and what they are doing with their business in the industry and what, where their goals are, what their needs are. So the next, do we have any questions on either fire or on earth, these two first elements? It's pretty simple because everybody here is an entrepreneur of sorts and already has, been in the ball, been in the soup, played with a lot of these concepts, building relationships with people and whatnot. So now it starts getting interesting. This next element here that we introduce into the relationship is metal. This is very important. Okay. This is why I don't talk about my business really so much, if I can, when I'm meeting with someone and I think is a potential client, because I don't really want it to be about me. My business is about helping other people spotlight their businesses, bring the power of their business out. What I can do for them, that could be discussed, it could be customized, all that good things, but it's really about the other person's vision. And what I've found and what I've believed and what I've taught my team, even before I started studying all these transformational leaders, it's interesting, they give me a lot of validation and stuff, but I taught my team was like, you've got to understand, we're in a society right now where our families have been shattered and everybody's all doing their little flying Han Solo on their little Millennium Falcon device, and they're lucky they got a Chewbacca the Wookiee on their side, but are they part of the Rebel Alliance? Do they have a whole community, a whole team? No, they're on their own. And this keeps us isolated and alone. More alone now than we've ever been. And in a sense, that individual introspective journey is great, but at the same time, we're cut off from everybody else when we're in this modern society today. So the conclusion I'm saying is that everybody's really starved for attention. And it really comes down to it. And when you start paying attention to what's important to them, then their whole world opens up to you. If you give someone attention about their pet or their business or their goals or their dreams or whatever it is, people are starved for attention. I told my guys, I said, listen, man, this is a real deal. There's people out there, everybody out there starved for attention. As soon as you start talking about what is important to them, they're going to open up to you. And it's going to be like all of a sudden, it's going to be like you're the priest in the business confessional. And that, like, as soon as you start giving them attention about their business, they're going to open up and they're going to start confessing all their business sins, crying all of their business sins right on your shoulder. What works for them, what doesn't work for them, where they're having a hard time, what is their, all you have to do is ask. Okay. So before we actually ask, it's important to acknowledge them. The acknowledgement opens doors. So the way I look at it is that if I've gotten to this point of finding out what they do in service, and I think that it would be a good match, and I would like to support this particular entrepreneur, I'll let them know. I'll say, I really like what you're doing. What you're doing can, make a difference in so many people's lives, right? I can see how the work that you do is really, really valuable to the world, right? And I totally would love to support you and your business and what you're doing. How does that feel?
Wonderful.
Does that feel good?
Yeah.
Right. Does that potentially open the doors for
feel seen, feel heard,
for relationship?
supported?
Yeah. So the acknowledgement is the pivotal turning point where they open the door so that you can come in. So acknowledgement. This is the hand mudra for acknowledgement. Acknowledge you. Acknowledge everything you do. I see you. I see your value, and I can support you in that value. So this is what acknowledge is about. That's what that's the beauty of that connection, is it enables us to not be alone, to actually have someone that's there for us, building community, you know, the acknowledgement that we belong and we're here and we have purpose and we have value that we can bring to the world. So any questions about metal? Acknowledgement? All right. So now we're even going to go deeper. Okay, the element of water. Introducing the element of water allows the relationship to grow and go deeper. Right? So this is curiosity. The element of water has the meaning of curiosity. And here's the hand mover for it. This is where we go deeper. We're going to go deeper. Okay, this is the fun part. This is where you get to actually start charging the field with energy. So what I do, I have an exercise here that a worksheet here, an exercise that I'd like to have us all do. We did this at the workshop the other day. I just like to do it some more. It's essential, and the reason I want you to go through this exercise is because I want you to have the success of an enrollment and have that, feel that feeling that of a yes. So with curiosity, you can start asking questions after you've acknowledged them. They pretty much opens the doors to get more information from your client about their business. So here's a few example questions. How is your neck, your job, your life, your dreams, or whatever you help people with? I'm curious. Would you tell me more about that? If they mention some things, then it's very easy to say, I'm curious. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? What's that like for you? Is a good question to ask along the way. How is that affecting your life, your business, your relationships? What do you want instead? How would you feel if you got that? Okay. If we were to work together, what would you see yourself getting out of it? Okay. I'm not that complex, I guess, in my information processing. So I try to keep it simple. It might take me years to get down to where I ask these like really, really subtle, nuanced questions. But just keeping it real simple helps. So on the worksheet, I've got a series of questions that we can ask here. So let me just reflect on this for a second. This is where you can actually make the connection. You can make the connection by asking questions relative to how does your business, you have your business, what you do, and you're having an enrollment consultation with your potential candidate. This is where you can ask questions that essentially will lead them or get their attention to the area of concern that you can help them with. What we want to realize is we can be shallow in our relationships, or we can be deeper in our relationships. And it's not that we're trying to be manipulative. We're not trying to manipulate people into doing something that they don't want to do or getting something that they don't need. We're really here to genuinely find out more and see how we can help them. The goal in heart selling isn't necessarily to sell them or get them to be your client. The goal in hard selling is to help them find out what their situation is, and if there's a way to help them, whether it be enrolling them or passing them on to a partner. What matters is that you're building that relationship and you're helping them. into your service in the first place. It's kind of what a free consultation is for, right? And then if they decide it's a good match based on the criteria that you present, then they can decide to become your subscriber, and then you've got that way to go forward with it. The thing I want to share with you is not that I've ever really studied or practiced the subconscious communication techniques, but I'm aware of how they work, like with NLP and with hypnosis. That pivotally hypnosis, that if the 700-pound gorilla isn't comfortable with the person who's making the suggestion, the 700-pound gorilla ain't going to do it. But if the 700-pound gorilla is comfortable with the person making the suggestion, then they're more inclined to open up. The other part, this is where acknowledgement actually opens the door. This is they become comfortable with you because of your concern, and they become more comfortable with you when you're asking these questions. When you're asking questions about their business, and you'll see the example questions out on the worksheet. We'll do that in a few minutes. When you start asking simple questions about their business, again, they just start telling you what it's about, because nobody ever pays attention, nobody ever pays attention to what they're thinking about in their business. But as soon as you start paying attention, they have an opportunity to vent, to talk about it, to talk it out. And this is where you actually start establishing the friendship and the relationship. So here's another thing. In the questions that I ask, I've got three or four questions on the worksheet that I found are the most important. Like, I don't really get too much into small talk or whatever's like that. You only have so much time in a consultation, so I pretty much ask the main important questions. But what we're doing is we're causing them to go into we're inviting them to go into a part of their mind that's called the imagination. Okay, and we're asking them to imagine imagine themselves in a particular setting. What are their business goals? Where do you want to be in a year from now? What would your business be doing? What would you be like? And what kind of lifestyle would that provide for you? Where would your peace of mind be at? Right? So what we're doing is we're causing them to actually use their imagination. And the way the mind works is that it doesn't really know the difference between fantasy and reality. It doesn't know the difference between what it's actually experiencing and what it's imagining it is experiencing. So when you start asking the questions that cause them to go up into their imagination and start thinking about business matters, business goals, where their trajectory is, the brain chemistry experiences being there. So you're actually taking them to that place where the business is successful a year from now, taking them to that place 3 years from now. Like when I'm enrolling a business class, where do you want your business to go 3 years from now? You're taking them into that place. If Dan was doing this kind of enrollment consultation, and he's got a tile cleaning service for restaurants, he'd be like, imagine what it'd be like having your tiles clean and spotless all the time. Like how would you like your restaurant to actually be? Like, where's it at now? What are your frustrations, with this particular area? The grunge behind your stove, what are your frustrations about that, right? What if I could show you, right? So we're going to go there. So you're taking them into this other space. You can also take them into the space of suffering as well, so that they can see it transparently, see the fact that they're in a suffering state, and that this is going to perpetuate if they don't make a change, right? So by getting them to actually shift their state of consciousness and move over and see themselves in another place, then you can find out, well, how serious are you about that? And then they can make a decision. So by shifting them into another state of consciousness, they pick up on that you have that ability, and they identify with that. Their subconscious mind, their heart, their experience is saying, wow, this person's really taking me on the journey. And like I say, if the people have intuition. They can feel if it's a good resonant match. They'll make the decision. You know, they'll make the decision that they want to do business with you, just like you made the decision that you want to do business with them over here at Acknowledgement. It's like, oh, that's very nice. You have a burger joint. Oh, very good. Good luck with that. Right? Because I'm vegetarian and I'm not going to back you up on that, right? You know, and I can do that. You know, I could say, sorry, man, I can't help you with the marketing on that one. You know, you could find somebody else who's like, you know, on that side of the fence, but so I can make that choice. And it's a good feeling to be able to know when you have a good match with someone and you can go forward doing business with them. And they can feel that too. So this is what we're establishing. We're establishing the dynamic of the relationship. So yeah, we can jump in and go forward. So any questions about water? Curiosity. So we're going to do some exercises on this to get a little bit more focused on it. So the final element. The element of wood. This is the one that matters. I mean, they all matter, but I would say this is the missing element that everybody's like, well, how do I make the sale? How do I land the plane? I've been doing this for so long and I still don't know how to close a deal, right? This is the deal closer question here. This is the one that gives them the opportunity to grow. So this is to grow. I think the mudra for wood, if I can recall, is like this. It's like a little sprout growing, an opportunity for change. It represents a choice to grow, a choice to change. Okay? So that life will be different now. They will have the access to their end result, their goal, their dream, without having the impediment or the gap in the place. Okay. So I love this one. It's Chinese medicine. Okay, I love wood because it reminds me that if I get to that point and I don't know what to do, I can say wood, you, like to. So it works, right? So when I get to this point and I've found out what their pain points are about their business, what they're having struggles with, what are their difficulties, what are their, and like say for instance, in Dan's case, he cleans bathroom tiles. When he wants to talk to restaurateurs, he's going to ask them about, when it comes to dealing with your bathrooms, you know, how is that going there? You know, he's going to ask a number of questions that are relative to the way his business relates with the other business, but he's going to find out information. He's going to like get some information, and he's going to be able to utilize that survey information in, like, return it right back around into the marketing for the actual potential agreement here, the wood. Right? So he's found out. Just write down the wood. Pain points, goals. Okay, and let's say how serious they are about the solution. And implication. Okay. Implication is important on long-term relationships, bigger accounts, right? Like if it's a $25 book, there's not a whole lot of implication. You don't need implication. They're going to buy a $25 book, and it's going to be easy for them to buy a $25 book. And you know, but to buy a copy machine account, where it's going to have to be serviced and all this, or to go with high-end equipment where it's a high-dollar account and you're going to have to see this guy's face come into your office once a month, and he's going to continue to come into your office once a month. There's going to be the implication is important on the bigger accounts, because what's going to happen if you don't? What's your life going to be like if you don't? Right? So once you've got these are my vitals. You're saying that?
What's the third?
Third one is serious. How serious? Seriousness. And that there's a gauge on the worksheet. We'll do that in a second. So once you get the pain, the goals, how serious they are, and the implication of what's going to happen, where you're going to be in 6 months, you don't make a move on this. Where you're going to be in a year, right? What are your customers going to think of you in your dirty bathrooms? right? They already know your bathrooms are dirty. Is this a perpetuum situation because you got teenagers working at your pizza places and they're scared of bathrooms? You know,
that's what scared me when I was talking to Don. I said, why would he make that comment? Well, we don't have a contractor coming in to do that. We have our 17-year-old pizza maker going in there cleaning the bathrooms. And I said, well, that explains a lot.
There you go. Okay, see, but he vetted this information out. I mean, the guy who owned the restaurant confessed it, and it's like all of a sudden he's got something to work with here. So then you can ask, well, if I could help you.
And then talk about implications.
Mhm.
It could be a long-term relationship here,
Right.
with multiple visits over the next couple of years. I mean, it's
Well, you can tell them that women, if you go into a restaurant and their bathrooms are nasty, you don't ever go back to that place again. Ever.
I worked with a gal. She said if the paper towels are gone in the bathroom, she just walk right back up.
Okay, so I love this. This is so much. It changed my life.
Like good, then good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and we'll have this on the worksheet too so that you have that as a reference. If I could show you a way to get rid of all those nagging little pain points that are driving you nuts and keeping you up and making you Google things at 2 in the morning in your underwear, and help you get to those goals that you really want to live in your life, achieve that result that you want, right? That you got your bathrooms just sparkling, they're good all the time, like and in the behind the stove in the restaurant, that's all good too. You don't have to worry about it, right?
You know. Worry that 17-year-old kid is going to go clean that bathroom and then go handle it.
Right. Right. And then it's like, okay, well, since you're serious about this and you really want this to happen, and you don't want to be sitting on your duff in 6 months with the same situation nagging in the back of your head, then would you like me to tell you about that? Would. Then would you like me to tell you about that? This changed everything for me. It was like the permanent twilight and then the dawning, right? I felt like I was in this permanent twilight. It's like, it's just about to happen. It's just about to happen. It's just about. When this happened, I was like, oh, it's all starting to make sense and happen now. It's like there's this turning point where like all of a sudden information is working for us. And we're using it right, and the quantum field is adjusting itself, and things start to flow and happen. This was when it started happening for me. I'm like, oh, if I could. Thanks for coming. Thank you. We'll see you. Let me give you a worksheet, man. Take this with you. Yeah, play with it. You'll get it. You can try it with the person you're sitting next to on the plane. See if you can enroll them. You'll never see them again anyway.
Enroll somebody will.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's true. Yeah, it does. Very cool. So, any questions about this flow? Does it feel fluid?
So in the earth, when they have a similar question, if I could help you with that, that's that. So
That's really this is what I felt works really good.
At the end of
At the end,
the
you know, before, like, a service is still too brand new. You're still like, oh, I do this, you do this, and what's your favorite part of that? And you're still just scratching the surface. This question is so powerful. It changed everything, and it's changed everything for me. You know, it just works. And I love it this way and this flow. This was, like I say, if you get the book, The Art of Attracting Clients, you go to the ABQ Leap page, go to the page for the first worksheet. At the bottom of the page for where the first worksheet is, there's a link that lets you sign up for the Client Attraction Summit, and they'll mail you a copy of Art of Attracting Clients. And she fully explains this whole process and how to get into it at each of these levels. You know, I'm kind of like straight to the point, so I keep it real simple, but it's, you know, you can go deeper at every level, engaging with people and practice, getting deeper into service, getting deeper into metal, getting deeper into it. You know, I figure most of my enrollment consultations are going to take, I've got about an hour. So I try to just be systematic and make it revolve mostly around the client. So 20 minutes in is where I start talking about what I could what potential I could possibly do. But I want that first 20 minutes, that first half hour to revolve around the client and what is on their minds and what their needs are. You had a question?
Was Charlotte when you told us that idea about being a trusted advisor? Because that's what you're getting at. You're becoming.
Yes, the trusted advisor is the language that we marketing experts use. That you're basically establishing trust, and it's been said that like somebody has to be the adult in the room, right? And is actually able to give the direction and get the conversation going to an actual goal or result. It's like when you have a meeting, and it's like, yeah, we have a meeting, but what were we meeting? Like, when you go into a meeting, it's good to have an agenda for the meeting, so that you accomplish what you're trying to accomplish in the meeting, and you walk out of the meeting going, oh, okay, we accomplished something. This is what we're talking about, landing the plane, right? Because you're trying to establish a relationship that can continue on, not just like, okay, we had coffee and we talked and yeah, well, whatever. Nobody ever made an offer. There wasn't any landing the plane. Nobody defined whether there was a need, right? And so you just talked about your stuff and then just went the other way and didn't get back with each other, right? So that happens a lot. But what this is about is actually knowing how to carry that relationship forward and bring it to its fruition and help that person get the results that they need in life.
Can I tell you the visual that gives me?
Which one? What?
Well, when you're talking about landing the plane, and we've got what looks like a lot of mothers in here, and when you have your baby at first, and you have that little spoon, and you're like, here's the plane, and you're trying to get him to open up without landing that plane. It's like, here's the plane, and then like go and set the spoon down. Baby's like, I'm still hungry. Like, you never put the food in my mouth. You didn't land the plane, Mom, and I'm starving. That's the visual idea.
Yes, and this is something that people just don't realize is who's been to a workshop and it was neat and it was information and all that, but the presenter didn't have a flow or a sequence, and he said something about this or something about that. He had some kind of program or something for sale, but he never positioned the offer and didn't close anything, and then you go away going like, yeah, that wasn't so impressive. Right? It leaves you hanging, right? So the transformational leaders are telling us that we need to have a way to continue the relationship from the circumstance of the event by positioning an offer and giving them an opportunity to get connected and continue on the relationship. We don't want to leave them hanging, disappointed. I didn't get anything out of that. And give a chance to reciprocate. I didn't have a chance to reciprocate. I designed this workshop according to Experience Product Masterclass. This was we did masterclass and designed some product, and then we took that product and we put it inside of here. We designed this to be a perfect flow. I've been paying attention for a minute, and it kind of blew my mind when we did the workshop. We did the workshop. I gave the presentation, and a couple people asked some questions, and then the folks that were ready for the program got up and they went and enrolled. And I didn't even have to ask. I'm like, I guess that was the way it was supposed to go. I didn't get butterflies. I didn't even ask, really. I said, so if this is a good match for you and you've decided what level you want to be at, just take your application to the back and go over there. And we don't want you to write your credit card number on the application. Just go back there and Jim will swipe you. And that was it. And then I said, anybody's got any questions? And I asked questions. And then the folks that enrolled. And then Liliana came over like the day after, 2 days later, she enrolled. She because it was like most people in Albuquerque aren't used to that, the way the workshop flow is. So they're not expecting that there's going to be an offer because most people in Albuquerque don't make an offer at the workshops, right? So but that's all right. She came over. Veronica came over. She heard about Sataza. I gave her a little mini presentation, and it just flows because it allows, you're giving enough information, you're allowing the potential client to have all the criteria they need to make the logical conclusion that this is an exact fit and this is what I want to do. And if I don't do it now, then I'm going to be missing out on the program. Look at all the folks that are in this room. Look at all y'all. Look, y'all came to this class, our very first enrollment class, because you don't want to miss out. Like, we got it going on. In 4.5 months, there's going to be an experience product cranking out for everybody who's in the LEAP program. So it'll be, your automated marketing will be working. It'll be enrolling and building you a list, and you'll be able to establish partnerships, and we'll all participate in helping make your launch, and your launch, and your launch, and your launch, and your launch. Like, we're a team here. We want that family, that support. We want to work together, because that's how social media works, and that's how you build big businesses, is helping like other people that are your partners, pushing their followers to your launch, and then everybody does that for everybody else, and the list just keep growing. So
you touched on it the other day, educational marketing.
Yeah.
And people love to buy, but hate to be sold. If you give them enough information, education, then 90% of the selling is done. All you have to do is go in and say,
it's been
close.
2 years, maybe more now, almost 3 years now, that we have been on an educational based marketing campaign with the entrepreneurs of Albuquerque. I knew a long time ago they didn't have a clue what an enterprise system was, because none of them had ever been approached or been given any criteria. The companies, they're not going to spend their money marketing to small entrepreneurs, right? The people that have the enterprise system. So we knew we had to educate the city. So the first thing we did is we made like about 1,500 flyers, I think, maybe 2,000 flyers that looked like a newspaper. It says Savvy on it, right? Okay, and that was designed to, like, people actually, it was designed to the shape. They pick it up and they start reading it, and they read all the little articles and the columns, and they found out that there's something different going on. And that was our marketing material, was 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, folded in half, looked like a newspaper. I got it into every single person's hands that I could. We must have put out like 2,000 of them, but all those people either just scoffed and threw it the other way, or they did the natural thing and took a sip of coffee or their orange juice while they were reading it. We did this at the Hispano Chamber. It was so cool. We took it over there and passed it around. And I see all these people fluffing it. You know how, like, you fluff a newspaper? They like fluff the thing and they start reading it because it's shaped like that. And it, you know, and right as it's going around the table like that, they fluff it, and then you get the coffee. Because the rest of the stuff there isn't important as I start reading the newspaper. It was designed to do that. But now here we are 2 years later with the ABQ Leap program, and this is specially designed to pick up on the high end what that one little 8.5 by 11 piece of paper was doing on the low end at the very beginning, right? So that we have a program that is completely supportive of everything that was there, that's tailored to the Albuquerque entrepreneur. This way we can get our people to recognize the opportunity and go forward with it.
You know why? Because everybody up to this point, or at that point, was taught to always be closing, selling format.
Yeah.
When you go in, every question you ask needs to get you one step closer to a close.
Mm-hmm.
So you're selling the question instead of
right. The 20th century model worked in the 20th century, but people have gotten jaded and hip. Yeah, sometimes. But people have gotten jaded and hip to it, and we've found stuff that really works a lot better.
Closing rate went from 25, 1 to 4 to 9 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
So heart,
Feel the heart.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
it's
when-
real
when
connection.
That old
Yeah.
method,
Yeah.
people could feel the game.
Mm-hmm. Getting messed with your mind. It was like,
They could
It wasn't
uh,
so
mentally.
because people were applying
Right.
technique to
see
you.
the image of the solution instead of.
So with education-based marketing, here's the way it works. 3% of the market is looking, okay, and if you're trying to do marketing that's relative to people that are looking, you have to deal with competition, okay, on competition and pricing, okay, and this is the disaster that's happened in Albuquerque. Albuquerque's like, hey, I'm going to go shop for a lower price. I'm going to go shop for a lower price. I'm going to shop for a lower price, because they're not identifying with the company, the provider, the message, right? And it's all in the range of looking. So if someone was looking for your product or your service, first of all, they're going to be comparison shopping between you and everybody else that's got that particular service, right? But with education-based marketing, so this is, the people that are looking, okay? With EBM, you can tap into 67% of the market that your competition is not tapping into, right? Your competition is not doing education-based marketing. They're doing marketing that's to people that are looking, spray and pray, Valpak, you know? That's like, that's really what it's all, hope marketing at best. I just call it spray and pray. That's Valpak. It's like you put it, you pay for it, put it in there, and it just goes out to certain zip codes, and good luck on that one. I think some of the folks in here, if not everybody, is somewhat familiar with that trial and error. That's spray and pray marketing. You know what kind of results you get. With EBM, you're going to find people that are unaware that they have the need. You're going to find people that are aware, but are maybe later. They're not right on it. They're not looking for it right now. So you're going to tap into the unaware and people that are aware of it, of the problem, not looking at it right now. You're going to be the people that you're unaware. You're going to be introducing new things in their marketing. It doesn't have anything to do with your product or service, but it has to do with why they're up in their underwear at 2 a.m. typing their symptom into Google. So EBM, when you do it, it takes some mental investment to think about people out there and to think about to get in their shoes and to think about what's on their mind, right? But it pays off in the long run. Because, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in this room, and we didn't really do nothing. We did a lot of homework and built this neat little program, but we put a little one of these, like kind of ugly little text-based flyer and sent a couple emails to our list and a couple of shares around in social media. But because it's specifically tailored to catch the attention of exactly the kind of people that I would love to have in my classes, then that's what shows up.
I didn't see it, by the way, on Facebook. I went to look up the address, and so I clicked on events, and it wasn't there. And I thought maybe I had the wrong day, and luckily Bob answered the phone.
Okay, well,
got the address.
we are intentionally not using Facebook events because I just consider them like they're just fake. We're putting the piece of marketing as an image, and we're able to manipulate the title, the headline that comes underneath it. So we're able to put the picture and the headline, and then people click through, and it just goes directly to our events page for RSVP. We're bypassing Facebook events because that was.
He did tag.
Oh yeah.
And so then I was able to reshare.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I did.
Yeah. Very cool. So we just pushed it around a little bit, but it was a minimum amount of work. Once we start getting the exact specifics, we can repurpose those exact specifics over and over and over again on a campaign. So you guys want to do a little enrollment exercise?
Sure.
Okay, so here's the enrollment conversation worksheet. Okay, let's see. I even have some Spanish ones.
You need an English one?
Okay. I'm gonna, because I think she would like a Spanish one. Did I give you a Spanish one the other day? Okay, I gave you one the other day. Maybe you and Marty would like to pair up, and you guys could do a Spanish one. Or some. What we're gonna do with this exercise is, did I get you?
Can I have the one in Spanish, please?
Yes, you may have the one in Spanish, and you can grade me on it, like making errors. It wasn't really good to translate.